Hello everybody, and thanks for checking out another video here on G4G Games for Gamers. I'm your host, Napalm Dawn, and today we're here in Marvel Avengers Alliance to further discuss a few things that should help some people out in PvP and kind of give some people some ideas on countering a lot of what you see in the meta today, and also discuss a team that I ran up against that I call the Immortal Agent. Today's background soundtrack is brought to you by Future Primitive. It's the album Kinetic. So, one of the things that I'd like to go ahead and tell you guys about today is something that'll help you counter the very common meta that we are seeing today. And that meta is the usage of the Hugin's Eye. The Hugin's Eye is, of course, the item from the last PvP season, and it essentially tells you that you can go ahead and continually dodge, without fail, the unarmed melee attacks. So this is extremely common in a lot of offensive teams and whatnot, and it really hurts my Molly and Iron Fist team. They don't have a whole lot that they can do against something like that, except Molly can throw the van. Well, Iron Fist, as it turns out, his pre-counters will go ahead and still damage somebody who is wearing the Hugin's Eye. But Molly is basically left vanning them to death. So, I wanted to go ahead and tell you guys about something that should really be able to help you out, and is actually a really phenomenal piece of gear that can go ahead and fix a lot of those problems. So I just wanted to bring this up and show it to you. I know I'm not full screen today. That's because I need to be jumping around a little bit. And I want to basically show you the meta killer on a stick. And then maybe I'll be able to get it to show you guys in actual action. So, I was researching some things that might be able to get around the fact that the person always dodges. And the way to get around that, I thought, hey, I know, let me use the Solar Storm. Let me go ahead and do this because this says can't dodge attacks. Well, yeah, unfortunately, it didn't work. It was a nice little thing that I could go ahead and use as a quick action with snappy service if I wanted to, and it does some decent damage and everything like that. However, Magnetize didn't work. People were still able to go ahead and dodge even with the Magnetize being up, so I'm thinking, okay, this is when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. At this point over here, it's going to be one of those things where the game is going to favor the unremovable buff over a removable debuff, and I'm not going to be able to do anything against it. So I gave up at that point. I was like, oh well, not really going to be able to do anything about it. Then I was reading the wiki just the other day, earlier this morning and last night, and I noticed somebody posting, hey, go ahead and use the Man-Vitara, and the staggered will solve your issue. And I came over here and I looked, and I was like, alright, well, we're getting there, because it has a chance to cause staggered, but it's a chance. So, what am I going to do from here? I want something that really can cause the staggered without it being a chance, even though the Man-Vitara being temporal is going to get through a lot of protection. So I did a search for staggered, and I came across this farmable item that I had, the Hardened Wakandan Rungu. This is absolutely a meta killer on a stick at this particular point in time. Look at what it does. It's melee and it's vibranium. Vibranium is a really good thing to have right now. It's customized so at whatever level you earn it, that's going to be the level that you get set, plus 10. It exploits shields, it's staggered, and it does off balance. So I was like, I really started processing what I was reading and thought, this is it. This is what I've been looking for, and sure enough, it has turned into exactly what I'd been hoping for. Not only does it exploit shields so it helps with the Invisible Woman Molly teams, but it also stops Kuruth from doing her follow-ups on people, and it stops an agent running the Hugin's Eye. Now, unfortunately, we might not really be... Well, okay, this is better than last night. Last night, everybody was in the 900s, and I didn't really get much of a challenge. So, I'm going to show you this item in combat here, and maybe we'll actually get a team in which this works. And this is a wonderful meta killer, and then after I show you this, I'll be able to tell you about an agent that I was forced to give up to. I had to end combat with a loss, because there was not anything I could do. So we have, okay, good, we have the Blaster Invisible Woman over here, but we have Groot. So I'm not going to be able to get the extra turn. So I'm going to hold on to it. And I'm going to see if they have Mystic, which they don't. So I'm going to start off like I would any other combat. Exhaust the enemy team. And I put my Emerald Prism on Molly. Now, if there was not a Protector, I would go ahead and pop that Blaster over there for the extra turn. But Groot would that's... Ah, fuck you, Groot. Okay, well, time to make myself immune, and hopefully Invisible Woman will force volley me and give my agent an extra turn. Sadly, I was not able to Black his Void because of the cower. Lucky proc for them. Alright, so we get force caged. So nothing cool and sexy there. He's going to be immune to it. Molly's going to set up for the Raspberry. And the agent is going to clear his debuffs, but it's going to end right then and there, because even though he clears the exhausted, he's still exhausted. Alright, so we're going to give myself an extra turn rather than wait for it. And fortunately, if you notice, for them, the Blackest Void got consumed. So now, we're going to look at the agent, and he is running the Watchful Eye. Brilliant. Okay, Groot, unfortunately, is going to intercept this, but watch what's going to happen. I'm going to pop Groot, and now he won't be able to dodge, but unfortunately, he'll still be able to protect. So let's see if I can hit the agent. Nope. Alright, so Groot's going to pop in there anyway, and Groot's almost dead. I'm exploiting his shields right now. And he's gone into cutting form. So I'm going to go ahead and aim for Invisible Woman, and the agent should pop in. Oh, no. She did the dodge. So the game basically says when you go to dodge, the attack still aims at you and you just dodge it. I am not going to go ahead and tantrum quite yet, because I want to show you guys something over here. I want to try to pop the agent. Oh, custom only for killing. One of my favorite guns from back in the day. Pretty good for the current meta, because it's the proc that really works on this thing. So now I'm going to try to go for Invisible Woman, and hopefully the agent will jump in. Perfect. Okay, great. So I hit the agent. And now, watch what's going to happen. Now, normally if I targeted... Well, the debuff got cleared. That figures. Well, needless to say, we may not be able to show you this in action over here. Okay, maybe we can. So I'm going to aim for her again. The agent jumps in. Alright, brilliant. But he's dead. What you would find out, and unfortunately he died, is that he would no longer be able to dodge the melee attack. So Molly would be able to have her way with the enemy agent, and he would not be immune to her melee attacks at that point. Now, typically, what I was doing with Molly is if I was faced with one of those eyes, I would go ahead and ramp up the Emerald Prism by attacking him anyway, and then just van him at the end, or just keep vanning the whole team, which did not count as melee unarmed. At one point, I got Molly up to an over 7,000 attacks, so she was just able to van the enemy to death. So that is why I am using the Hardened Wakandan Rungu, which is one of the best ways of fixing a lot of what you see on defensive teams nowadays. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and tell you about this Eternal Agent that I ran across. And unfortunately, I do not have one of the pieces of gear, but I'm going to tell you his plan. And if you have all of this gear, kudos to you. Well, the first thing that this agent had, not that it mattered thanks to my Heroic Age Iron Fist, he had the This Is Sparta boot. And you can find that in the current Chapter 8. It is a boss drop, and I have it. It is the This Is Sparta boot. It is, much like the Cosmic Cardinal, special functionality. It cannot be activated automatically. You have a chance to preemptively depower somebody as the attack is coming in. So it's a little bit like On Guard. And in case you can't figure it out, This Is Sparta, or DIS is Sparta is what this is. So that's the first item that he had. The second item that he had was the signpost, which, if you notice, is a subtle action. The third item that he had, let me try to think over here. What was... Oh, yes, the Protector of Attilan. This is his linchpin right there, and I happen to have it. I happen to have the set. The Protector of Attilan says you take reduced damage from enemy attacks, you deal reduced damage to enemies, but you become immune to cornered and off balance and pinpoint, and you are somewhat like the Soak Scroll, the Scroll of Aknazak. You become immune to having your positive buffs removed. So if you are strengthened, Weaken will not kick in, Black as Void will not work, and the Scroll will not work. And then the last thing he had is something that I do not have, and that is the Blink Boots. The Blink Boots was from one of the more recent Spec Ops. It gives the agent phased for 2 turns, and it has a 2-turn cooldown. So thanks to this is what this agent was doing. Signpost, Protector, Boots, Signpost, Protector, Recharge, Signpost, Protector, Boots, Signpost, Protector, Recharge. Nothing I could do. I could not hurt him. Iron Fist, everything he does is melee, not going to get through unfazed. Everything Molly does, not going to get through unfazed. Ranged and unarmed melee, nothing I could do. My agent, he didn't have the Hardened Wakandan Rungu at that particular point in time. He had, I believe, maybe the This Is Sparta boot himself. I don't really recall what I was using at the time. But I had the Emerald Prism, I had my weather control device, and I had the cube, and I definitely did not have the Mystic. If I had the Mystic, it would have been good. I had something that had no chance of hitting this person, so I was forced to recharge. I tried to wait until the improbability field was up. I'm like, okay, let me see if I can get some subtle debuffs on the person, and maybe he'll tick down. Nope. It either was not really hitting him properly, or not giving him enough of the debuffs. The Signpost was able to heal him through whatever I could put on him. I could not Black as Void the shield. The weather control device couldn't penetrate it, because it was nothing magical. I had to go ahead and quit the match. because it would have been an eternity, and I never would have been able to win. Let me see if I still happen to have that loss. It was an attack, and I lost because I had to forfeit. And he was not particularly skilled by any stretch. He just happened to make one of the trolliest defensive setups. Here, okay, this is the guy. So here's his setup right over here. I wiped out his entire team, but he had this, the blink boots. It phases you for 2 rounds, and it's up for every 2 rounds. So as long as you do subtle things, you will never unphase yourself. Signpost, Protector of Attilan, and the This Is Sparta boots. He could have used the Cosmic Cardinal over here. He could have used the Hugin's Eye. He could have gone ahead and used the Eye from the gold sale to help out his team. Anything that is not subtle, or anything that does not activate automatically, could be good in this slot. Honestly, the This Is Sparta boot didn't do anything to my team because I'm immune to debuffs, but he could have gone offensive and used like the Cosmic Cardinal. He could have orchestrated a very, very heavy attack team and put Quicksilver and Psylocke and put the Cosmic Cardinal in there. He got super lucky that for some reason the exhaust, I don't know what happened here, but I did not manage to exhaust him. And honestly, the new Generalist suit that clears debuffs would probably be good for this. I couldn't exhaust him over here, and even though he has snappy service, he doesn't need to be. You could do this with any suit. I think it's a waste to do this with the Tactician suit, because you don't need snappy service. It's a quick action. It's a quick action. Oh, I know why he's doing it. He did it so that in case he uses the blink boots first, his turn isn't over. Even still, you could kind of get away with it. But anyway, this is the guy. And here's his armory. So, you know, it's some good stuff. Nothing particularly fancy. Definitely below mine. His defensive team. Here's his offensive team. So he might be running null. Because magic, and magic. So he might be running null over here. And Blade of the Guardian blushing. So this was just super, super trolly. And I had to go ahead and forfeit to this guy because of it. So there's an idea. If you have the Sinister Scepter or the Blink Boots, you can go ahead and make yourself the Eternally Living Agent, unless the enemy team has psychic or magic attacks. And if you get really irritated at the Hugin's Eye lately, and you're like, man, my team is too melee heavy, I need to get around it, there you go, just cause staggered. And honestly, I think the best way to do that right now is that Hardened Wakandan Rungu, because it is available in the game. Anybody can get it. Man-Batara, of course, you can't get anymore. They're in the Kang lockboxes. There's the little guy in question, the Hugin's Eye or Huggin's Eye. That's the one that's causing all the problems. And then you have the new one of the Moonin's Eye. So there you go. There's the Eternally Living Agent. And there is a good idea to get around the Hugin's Eye. Use the Hardened Wakandan Rungu. So I hope this video helped you all out. Take care, everybody.